let's bring in Fox News contributor Liz Peek. Liz, a lot of people thought that the movement might die when Charlie Kirk did. It's been 3 months, and it seems like the folks who are attending there are as fired up as ever.
And thank heavens, John, because we really need young people in this country to not only become politically active. Obviously, it's very helpful to have them on the GOP side of things, but you know, there's just a feeling that young people are despairing of our country. A pretty recent Harvard poll came out saying only 13% of the country in that age category, 18 to 29-year-olds, think we're on the right track. They're worried about their finances. They're worried about AI. And honestly, I think what Democrats are offering them is what I call a doctrine of despair. They're always being told from the left that they have no hope, that the billionaires have stolen their future, and there is no American dream. So the GOP, I think, really has not only a responsibility and an opportunity. They have a chance here to really kind of get out a message of, yes, the American dream is alive and well. That's certainly what Charlie Kirk was talking about. There's opportunity for those willing to work hard, play by the rules, et cetera. It's exactly the opposite of what they're hearing from Democrats. But guess what? Our country really needs young men and young women to get to work, to make this country great, and to make their own futures very, very bright, which can certainly be the case.
I want to put up a graphic that shows the presidential votes among young people in the last two elections. So in 2020, the Democratic Party got 61% of the vote. In 2024, with Kamala Harris as the candidate, that dropped 10 points. They got 51%. Donald Trump got 47% of the presidential vote, and that was up 11 points from 4 years earlier among 18 to 29-year-olds. Now, Republicans seem to feel that, well, they need to prove that they deserved that support. You heard Vice President Vance talking about that very thing, and you're saying that they have to prove that they can earn it. Can they? That's the question.
Well, look, why are people moving to the GOP column? Why did they do that? Why did they vote for Donald Trump? Because he promised to make life better for them. And so they have to keep those promises. What is it that the next generation really cares about? Housing. They can't really start families and marry and build a future financially unless they can afford a house. So housing costs have got to come down. President Trump is very focused on this. It's extremely important, I think, for the midterms. And by the way, the results of recent special elections suggest that young people have drifted back to the left. I mean, historically, they've always been Democrat voters for the majority. They did move across the line to vote for Donald Trump. But yeah, we got to make sure they stay there. And I think addressing some of their biggest issues, one, affordability of housing, two, affordability in everything. Remember, John, the young voters are typically those who are on the lower end of the income spectrum. And so all we hear about this K-shaped economy and so forth really applies to young voters. They're having a hard time making ends meet. So President Trump right now is out talking about bringing costs down, making life more affordable. That really resonates with this generation. I think, you know, we're seeing it in gasoline prices. We're seeing it in selected other goods. I think if that begins to become a winning message because it's actually facts as opposed to hyperbole on the left, I think actually they will begin to bring some of those voters back on board.
Andrew Colvett is Charlie Kirk's longtime producer and good friend. He talked about what's at stake. Listen.
We need to make sure that Gen Z is buying into the American dream. We cannot take for granted the gains of 2024. They gave us a flyer. They gave us a chance. But we have to make good on some of those promises. So things like a Gen Z economic moonshot, for example. Let's do what we can in the 3 years that we have left. We're a race against the clock to prove that our ideas work better than their ideas.
So what do you think? Are they doing that? Are those ideas working? Are they going to work, Liz?
I think they are. I mean, right now, for example, real wages are improving. They're growing. Remember, there were 2 or 3 years during the Biden administration where the middle class, the working class, had the biggest hit to their real wages actually in the history of the country. It was really a horrible because inflation was so high, it was horrible. Inflation has come way, way down. I think it can get even better. And again, targeted policies on things like permitting reform to improve housing costs and so forth, those are very important. They don't work overnight, John, and this is one of the problems the president has right now. Yes, he fixed the the border, but voters have moved on. They're now on, prices and affordability. Yeah. So there has to be a shift in the attention and a shift in policy making. I think it can work. It's got to work pretty fast.
Memories are short, that's for sure.
They really are.
Liz Peek, thank you.
Thanks, John.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.